Hi, thanks again for tuning in to Sin's Workshop. Hope everyone's having a beautiful morning. Today we're going to be talking about Thorn by Intisar Khanani, published by Harper Teen. This is a young adult retelling of the classic fairy tale The Goose Girl. The novel deals with a lot of important issues like domestic violence, so I thought that was really thoughtful how the author is able to convey that abuse and violence can come in many ways. It can come out in physical abuse, mental abuse, and emotional abuse. So, it does address really tough issues like that, but I did have a tough time getting into the novel, and the reason being is because I felt like the plot dragged a little bit. It takes a while to get to that point where she becomes the Goose Girl. Like, it takes a long time to get to that point where she becomes the Goose Girl. There's lots of backstory that's going on, and I felt like some of it was inconsequential to the plot. Yes, there's, the person who takes her identity doesn't like her because she felt humiliated by her. Yes, there is this fae type person who is bent on revenge and is trying to use her as a ploy to get what she wants. But I felt like a lot of that could have just been condensed much more than it actually was. Because once it gets to that point where she does become the Goose Girl, even getting to that point when they reach the new city, because she is betrothed, she is about to get married to this new person, to this prince. It just drags on. Even some of the scenes afterward drag on, and I feel like they're somewhat inconsequential to the overall plot line, because it feels long. Like, I found myself looking at this novel, I'm like, okay, can we go on now? So I really wasn't able to be drawn into the novel as much as I wanted to be. This was definitely a novel I really wanted to like because I love fairy tale retellings, but it focuses too much on dragging out the plot. There's unnecessary world building. There's like a mini arc with the character as she's making new friends, and while they do deal with other important issues, I found myself at a loss, not connecting to them as much as I wanted to. Dealing with a tough topic like domestic violence, I just read a novel about domestic violence and dealing with it, and I thought it was a beautiful novel. If these wings could fly, definitely highly recommend that one. So that novel dealt with domestic violence. This novel too deals with domestic violence, but it doesn't really showcase it a lot. I mean, it showcases Alira being submissive. Everyone kind of looks down on her mother, her father. I mean, not her father, her brother, her mother and her brother, and even the new people she meets, they think they can take advantage of her because she's a very meek and submissive person. She comes off as meek. She puts herself in this cage almost where she makes herself a prisoner of fear. So putting herself in that cage, it leaves her open to be a target, because she's not giving herself the strength that she develops. She just does develop. There is really strong character development in this novel for Alira, because she does develop. She does go from having a sort of submissive tone to a very headstrong, head up tone. And I did appreciate that aspect of the novel, because she is thoughtful in her narrative. She is very thoughtful in the way that she grows. And at the end, she's definitely a princess who can hold her head up high, who will no longer let herself get bullied. She has completely destroyed the cage that she built for herself. This cage that was built out of fear, because, again, her brother abused her, and her mother knowingly let him, because she also had such a distaste for her daughter. So, and coming from a household like that, she is unsure of how to, build herself up, because the people who are supposed to be closest to her, they inflicted the most damage upon her emotionally, mentally, and physically. So the novel really is a long journey of her finding herself as the Goose Girl. She becomes the Goose Girl in a town where, there's a lot of crime that's somewhat being ignored by the hierarchy, because, they're dealing with their own issues, like dark fairies and the like. So she has to sort of save herself, and she has to save her friends, and she ends up having to save the prince. Because there's another issue that this novel deals with. It deals with, justice versus revenge. When does justice no longer justice? When is it revenge? It's a really thoughtful question. It is a very thoughtful outlook in the novel. A lot of people think justice is injustice, but there is a point where you sort of cross that line, and justice is sort of revenge, and you sort of turn into the monster you were trying to take down. So there are many different ways that the story breaks down those elements, with the fairy, with a crime in the city that she wants justice for, but when she sees the justice enacted, she's like, this isn't really justice. It does beg the question, when does justice stop being justice, and when does it turn into revenge? So it is very thoughtful. I just thought maybe it was the pacing that was lacking. The novel does have many thoughtful elements as it addresses a lot of tough issues in the novel, but overall, I wanted a little bit more tension, because there are a lot of scenes that, again, they seem inconsequential to me as a reader. They seemed a little too long. They seemed to drag out. So I had a hard time losing myself in the story. There was this wall between me and the story. It definitely wasn't one that I completely lost myself in. I thought, there is tone. At times it does fall flat. I do like that she becomes headstrong, and I do appreciate that she finds her strength and stays true to herself. She she retains that sense of kindness, and she doesn't want to lose sight of what justice means. She doesn't want to become an abuser either. So I think that's a really thoughtful story to do that, to bring to life the characterization, and to bring to life those tough subjects. I just wish the pacing were a little tighter. I wish it moved faster. I wish it was slightly more engaging, so that I could feel a stronger connection to the story. And while it's great that I can appreciate the author's intent to bring to life these tough subjects, I wish I was able to connect to them a little bit more rather than just on an appreciative level. So once again, Thorn by Intisar Khanani, published by Harper Teen. Check it out on your library's digital catalog. I gave this book 3 stars. And if money is not too tight and you really want to read it, please remember to support your local booksellers online and purchase the book online, not from Amazon, please. Just support your local bookseller as much as possible. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.